and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I pray that you are blissfully well in whatever situation you're in, because you've woken up just in time to watch the greatest unfolding, in a long time, right where we are. Of course, we want to give all thanks and praise to Mwenye Nyaga, Mwenye Hinya, the one of absolute power, the one of absolute, the dazzling one. Many used to think when Nyaga meant some ostrich, looked like an ostrich. No, but it meant the dazzling one, beloveds. That's who my ancestors worshipped and communed with right here at Mount Zion, which is right behind me, beloved. So I send you all that love and energy. Thanks, special shout out to my Caribbean brothers and sisters who have reached out to me over the weekend talking about, stormy waters in the Caribbean, as one of my Patreon family put it. There's definitely a lot going on, beloveds, and people are not taking the New World Order agenda lying down. Actually, it's really surprising. In St. Vincent, the St. Vincent Prime Minister is actually recovering in hospital after a rock hit him, which they're saying was thrown by an anti-jab protester. And what happened is that there were according to mainstream media, there were 200 protesters. I say they may have been, more like 500. I don't know. Let me know. So there were 500 protesters, according to Dr. Mumbi show, standing in front of Parliament. And the protesters weren't just any old body. There were nurse unions representing nurses, police, etc., different government workers who now fear that they are going to have to take the snake bite in order to keep their jobs. And so there was a lot of unease. The Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves, he decided he needed to get to Parliament, and he was like, I need to get through this crowd. So he started walking through the crowd, and apparently someone launched a rock and hit him. And, there's so many levels to this. I'd absolutely love to hear from my Caribbean brothers and sisters to what is really going on. Because, beloveds, remember, these people, they want to create chaos so that they could create order out of chaos. That's the only way that they can implement the New World Order. And so, why would they hit the Prime Minister with a rock? Could that be controlled opposition? We have to think of all angles. I'm just glad our people are protesting, but you're gonna have to go like the Gandhi way, where all everyone in the nation puts their tools down and says we're not working until the system changes. We're gonna have to get to that kind of level. Because as I keep saying, you can't beat them at their game, because now, the Prime Minister, he said, by the grace of God Almighty, I'm doing well and on the mend. That's what he wrote on his social media page on Friday. And he had actually previously proposed the changes to the nation's public health law. And he had said that it would not include any penalties for those who refuse a snake bite. But he said there was no justification for the attack on Friday. And you have to see, beloveds, Babylon never lets a good crisis, go to waste, as I've always said. So I'm always saying, work with discernment, beloveds. Make sure that as people are going to the streets, there's also those behind the scenes who are chanting and bringing in the spirit of the ancestors, if you get my drift. So, because I listen to his language, and it just sounds like he's creating a possibility of an order out of chaos kind of scenario. Let me know what you think. He said, we can have our disagreements, but to cross the line into violence is unacceptable in a democratic society. And of course, it has been, it was criticized by various, leaders, including some guy, Ronald Sanders. Maybe you guys know him. He's the ambassador, allegedly, of the Organization of American States. But what do you think? They're saying that an unidentified woman has actually been arrested. It's getting tricky out there, beloveds. It's getting tricky out there. I always say, it's not our war, it's not our battle, but we must keep ourselves and our families safe. At this point, you shouldn't be relying on the government for anything, for any job or anything. You should be trying to move into your own, because they've been telling you. I mean, the only good thing about Babylon is that they always tell you what they're about to do, but no one ever takes them seriously because it seems so diabolical. And I mean, there's protests across the world that are happening, but they're just not being covered. Even China had protests. There's massive protests in London, massive protests in France. But you see, you can't protest for one day. That's what I'm saying. You got to use a guy. I mean, if guys are really, if this is the vibe people are on, then they have to use the Gandhi formula, where you're not willing to, that's the only way, beloveds, if you're going to fight in the system. Or you use the spirit of our ancestors. I mean, those are the two ways. Of course, same thing happened in Barbados, where hundreds of Barbadians took to the streets of Bridgetown yesterday morning, protesting mandatory and coerced shots. So, people were carrying different placards. They said, we have rights. Some others said as motorists honked their horns in support. And, they apparently went around the town. But beloveds, we're in that season and time. But remember, watch everything with discernment. Some of us are watching, but we're just busy preparing, our own hideouts, because what will happen must happen, I guess. That's what they always say, right? But must it really? Let's take a short break.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. How you doing? How's everything going? Thanks to every single person that supports us on Patreon and who joins us, where we can have at least more of a free conversation. Special shout out to everyone also that sends us love donations through our PayPal accounts and enables us to continue to bring you the message from the heart of Zion. I say the center of the world with all the research that I've done recently, but those are definitely stories for other days. Beloveds, we have started a relocation service for those of you who are, are looking to relocate back to the continent. The links are down below. So, stormy waters in the Caribbean, beloved. And this, this is copying what's happening across the world. But we have to understand that, the protests they were predicted almost. And so what's the medium and long-term plan? I was watching this wise man the other day, and he was like, this is the time to come up with your soft boundaries and your hard boundaries. Your soft nose, which could maybe be a maybe, and your hard nose, like you will not cross this line. And recognize that anything that you try and do within the system, if you try and do it the way, it's always been done in the system, like the protests and this and that, then it will be met with the same, they're ready for that. They've trained for that. They've prepared for that. They've even modernized their their trucks and their tanks and everything for mass protests. So, beloveds, this is really the time to retreat for now. Send your spiritual support, but unless you really feel led by spirit, because there are those spiritual warriors who are here to lead from the front, unless you're led by spirit from that angle, just be like a weatherman. Such kind of news should tell you the chaos is coming. And once the chaos is coming, they will roll out their plan. So what happens when they roll out their plan? And this is for the revolutionaries who feel called, who feel absolutely like they are here to transform their societies, transform their governments. Then you have to start thinking like a chess player, beloveds. Because Babylon has been playing spiritual chess while we've been playing spiritual checkers. I mean, checkers is still a deep game, but beloveds, They're always 10 steps ahead. So how do you jump ahead and then stay ahead? They've predicted, because when you start hearing some of the rhetoric, because you were saying, crossing over into violence is absolutely unacceptable, blah, 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 blah. Politicians never say anything just like that. There's always a, problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Although I haven't seen any, maybe they did condemn what happened, but I didn't see any of his fellow Caribbean Prime Ministers kind of releasing a statement. But, beloveds, these are the times where stock up on food, stock up on water. If you do have, a government kind of job, really look to getting out if you're willing to ride this out till the end. It's time for some really tough decisions, beloveds, that only you can make for yourself. But remember, don't ever decide anything because of fear, because of peer pressure, because your mama told you, because your daddy told you. Most of those people know as little or less than you. Make well-informed, well-researched decisions from a point of peace and calm, knowing that in the end, we win. Tuko pamoja.